All statements and opinions expressed by guests of the Adult in the Room podcast are strictly their own and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs or opinions of the host, producers, or advertisers. All interviews are presented in their most complete possible form in the interests of free speech. No statements should be interpreted as financial, legal, or medical advice. Listener and viewer discretion are strongly advised.
It's the Adult in the Room podcast with Victoria Taft. That's me. Well, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Adult in the Room podcast. I'm Victoria Taft, your tour guide for this tour through craziness everywhere in the United States over the past few days, as well as looking forward to things that we can expect to see in the next few days in the future. Well, so welcome for the next hour or so of this wonderful romp into craziness. And we start this afternoon with the news that all of a sudden, ground zero of Antifa-stan, this being Portland, Oregon, and we'll talk about other things going on, the No Kings and all of that sort of thing around the country, and a special anarchist book fair that's being held in Seattle over the last weekend, and I'll tell you a little bit about that as well. So just hours ago, we got news that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which generally speaking is quite liberal, has decided to tell the state of Oregon that, the President of the United States of America has not only the constitutional authority, but has the authority of Congress to call in the National Guard to protect the ICE agents while you're out there, Antifa, causing trouble. Oh, and there's so much juice in this Supreme Court ruling. Ninth Circuit Court ruling. So interesting. Let me find my deal here. I have to share this. And so stand by. I want you to see the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling. Here we go. This is the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling ordering Karen Immergut, the judge, who was a Trump-appointed judge. Basically, she was the best of a bad lot that the U.S. senators from the state of Oregon would approve. Anyway, so Karen Immergut got her ass handed to her, frankly. She got told off by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. No feather in her cap, as they used to say in the bad old days. And so Karen Immergut was told, you know what? The fact that you are confused about the Constitution and you're confused about the congressional authority to give the President of the United States the job of being able to do his job, call out the National Guard, is the fact that it escapes you is doesn't speak well of you, lady. So here it is. It's a per curiam. There was just everybody decided, done. We're in one dissent that took up a lot of the pages of the 93-page decision from the Ninth Circuit. And the initial decision, the ruling in favor of the Trump administration, was 36 pages. But in those 36 pages, oh my, I have to find something for you. Let's see, I want you to read it for yourself. Here we go. There are a number of things that happened over the past few months at the ICE headquarters in Southwest Portland. Now, this is a neighborhood. It didn't used to be a neighborhood. It used to be nothing, really. It was just a bunch of shipbuilders and all sorts of things. And then the folks with who had big developers and those who wanted to continue out these 30-year-long special provisos under the laws in the state of Oregon for to give you some money. Well, you guys develop it. Okay, you do it the way we want you to do it. We'll put some low-income housing there and some put high-end housing there, and then we're going to put a big trolley or tram to the Oregon Health Sciences University, and which is the trauma unit. That's another story. So, but anyway, so they put all this stuff in to the South Waterfront, of which one was the ICE building. And that's been there for, I don't know how many years, but it's a federal building. It should receive federal security, and it has been, but not without a huge cost. And the reason there's a huge cost is because 25%, I read here in the Ninth Circuit, 25% of all of the federal police officers, generally speaking, federal police officers, are in Portland trying to keep Antifa from beating the snot out of the ICE people, okay? And so they said that's unsustainable. They're working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. We cannot sustain this. $2 million since June in overtime pay. So this is an unsustainable deal. By the way, said the judges in this decision, and we also have it on, an uncontested piece of information that the police aren't helping, which we knew. But once again, we have learned this from the folks in San Francisco. No friends, obviously, to President Trump or any other conservative. And I don't know who wrote the majority opinion, and I should know if it's a Trump appointee, but it really doesn't matter because it's such a case that it could have been, the successor to Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the fast track to SCOTUS, and they'd still go, duh. And so, but I did want to roll out a few things that they said as things that were, because appeals courts, generally speaking, do not make decisions based on fact. They find out whether or not the law matches up with your facts, and they also find out, they just make sure that things went the right way in court as to be an appealable offense. And indeed, this is an appealable offense. And the court, bottom line, said, yeah, you don't get your TRO anymore. You can't get your temporary restraining order. That means the National Guard can come in, and BT dubs, you're going to lose at the Supreme Court. So that's basically what they said. Okay, but now some of the details. Because here are some of the, on September 1st, protesters assembled a guillotine outside of the ICE facility, and we have it on good authority that having guillotines outside any facility is a right-wing thing, that it only happens on January 6th. And I'm pretty sure nobody's ever figured out who put the guillotine on the Capitol grounds outside on January 6th, 2021. But I would bet you dollars to donuts, I would bet you $20 right now that it was put there by the left and the Antifa nutballs that were at January 6th. Unless you believe the fiction that was the only riot they missed in 5 years. You don't believe that either, do you? Okay, so there was a guillotine. That wasn't really my main point, but they had one out there, this incident and others, and also recorded in multiple emails from Portland Police Bureau officers monitoring the ICE facility. And they monitored, but they didn't do squat about any of this crap outside the security risk that we have out. So there was that. And then it goes on to September 4th, a PPB officer reported seeing several older homeless people being coerced. And this one actually does something for me. This is really interesting, especially in light of what Ryan Morrow told us in one of our last podcasts, not the live stream, but the last couple of podcasts we had Ryan Morrow, and we've also had Seamus Bruner on to talk about different things of the payment that is coming from the left foundations and all that stuff to underwrite the No Kings protest. We'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a second, but also that now it appears and makes total sense that where there's a pot of money and an NGO to plunder it, there is Antifa, because so many of these organizations, same organizations, fund indirectly or directly Antifa, direct violence, and that sort of thing. But also what they do is they fund homeless programs, not the billionaires. I'm talking about the nation's coffers, U.S. budget, funding all this stuff for homeless programs. And Antifa and these NGOs that do the homeless programs also take the money, and Antifa is infiltrating, if you will. In fact, there are reports called infiltrated. So Antifa is infiltrating the NGOs with respect to homeless expenditures and solving the homeless problem, which they can't solve it because there's no future and no money in that. So, hey, we can't solve the problem. Why, that would mean we'd get ourselves out of a job. Right, exactly. Precisely what we want them to do. But nevertheless, they won't do that. They'll always find something else to spin up and spend your money on because, after all, they can't get enough of your money to do what they want to do. So this little page 10, on September 4th, a Portland Police Bureau officer reported seeing several older homeless people being coerced into approaching the ICE facility gate, the one they keep trying to trash. The instigators told these people that they should create a distraction or simply rattle the gate, which is a felony, by the way. So they're leading these guys into committing an act that is against the law. Not only that, officers confirmed this was happening by watching the instigators escorting different homeless people up to the gate. So Antifa was leading homeless people to the gate to rattle it and distract the agents inside, while other Antifa agents provocateur did something else. What that was, it doesn't say. But wait, there's more. Officers confirmed this was happening by watching the instigators escorting different older homeless people up to the gate. FPS, that's Federal Protection Services, I believe is what that acronym stands for, such as it is, took custody of an elderly man after he asked if he could just come up to the gate, please, and rattle it so that the Antifa instigators would leave him and the others alone. Put another way, he was begging the cops, please let me fake this and I can do this and I won't get arrested for it because these guys are just really hassling us and we just want them to get out of our hair. Oh, okay, we want him to leave us alone. He was escorted behind the gates and interviewed. He told agents that he and several other homeless people were being coerced to instigate agent response. And it's kind of interesting because two things going on here. When you instigate agent response, you find out how they will react to certain situations, much the same way that the dry runs for terrorism often will happen in advance, and you look back and go, "Oh, damn, that was a dry run for that." Operation Bojinka, or the one where the flying imams and all that stuff, scaring the poop out of these people on an airplane, and then you find out later it was a run up to an op that was a successful op because you want to find out what the feds are doing. How are they going to respond? And so that's what they're doing. They want to find out how the feds are going to respond, but also they want to get photos of agents rounding up decrepit homeless people for PR value. So don't you ever forget. In fact, this stinks so much of Hollywood that it is astonishing to me. It's just amazing that they have picked up so much from the terrorists because they train with them to some extent. Really, no, really. Andy No said, I believe him. In Syria, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And so in Gaza, they call it Pallywood to stand for Palestine, the Palestinians, such as that subgroup of individuals are, and so they stage things. They stage things. In Hollywood, there are some really famous films, some videos that the Palestinians, before social media really took off, would get out into the ether. And these were, oh, look, the Israelis have killed another woman and child. And it would be, just this terrible scene, right? Somebody's dead. And then the cameras kept rolling And then you would see the woman and the child get up and go back to whatever it was they were doing to set up for the next scene for this Pallywood production. Such the case is with Antifa outside the gates of the ICE facility in Portland, Oregon. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. And there is so much artifice, so much fakery, that it is astonishing to me that grown adults in the legal profession in all along the West Coast, Mest Coast know this, have seen this, have documented this, and still don't believe it. They just, we're just going to take their word for it, right? We're going to take their word for it, those evil ICE agents. Also, let's see what else. September 4th, federal police services arrested a woman, daily chronic problem. It kind of makes you wonder, did somebody leave out a comma in a daily chronic problem? A daily, comma, chronic problem. Or is she a daily problem because she's on the chronic? I mean, I don't know. It's a real mystery, real puzzler there. Anyway, she's very aggressive. I think I've seen that chick, and she's believed to be armed with a Glock. It does not surprise me at all. But most of those guys are strapped in some form or fashion. They've got some weapon on them. Usually it's a gun, and definitely knives and stuff like that. Let's see, multiple individuals. And so you're going through all of these things that have happened outside, requiring a response by federal police. And in fact, I have a story here that it's really kind of a bummer. It's from Honey Badger Mom on Saturday night when we were doing a live stream, and I had it, I'm not even kidding, I had her live stream up. We were going to talk to her. I had her live stream up, and doggone it, practically the moment we got on the air, they had this big spin up outside the ICE headquarters, and the ICE officers and the federal police just started deploying all kinds of munitions and pepper spray and that sort of thing. And it's possible it was tear gas. I haven't had it confirmed. My guess, a lot of people said it was tear gas. Okay, whatever. It might be. It's just something that nobody wants to breathe. And so guess what? The No Kings thing really went down in flames after that. They really wanted to attack the ICE headquarters, and they gave them, lots of time. They were out there lots of time, and they had their First Amendments, and they were able to shout out at the officers, and they were able to, shake their fists at them, and they were, to the extent they spit on people. You know what happens if you spit on a nice guy? You know, right? You get arrested. That's assault. I mean, so anyway, and there was that one point at which everything went quiet, and it was after Honey Badger did put her video out there, and then all of a sudden her live feed just disappeared. So I hear this, and you can't hear it, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to share this page, share this tab instead. Are you seeing it here? Alex, yeah, here we go. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm just going to play you the vid, and you're going to tell me if you think this is something that is really bad behavior on the part of the feds, because I do not. But And Honey Badger's got better video, but the point is that they just wanted a moment, right? They just wanted a moment, and that's what they got. They got their moment. They're spraying our bunnies with pepper spray. Okay. So they're reaching for a moment. Okay, to wrap up on the Ninth Circuit. Yes, of course, President Trump can send troops. Yes, of course, indeed. This was only about the one case that Karen Immergut, who's the judge who decided this case, this is the one thing when she says, no Oregon troops can be involved. And so right after that, they had already won the California lawsuit, they being the Trump administration. They'd already won the one that said, sorry, Gavin Newsom. Yeah, we can. We can call out the California National Guard to come and keep peace outside the federal buildings. And they did, of course, they did. They sent the Marines out there too. Well, and I am persuaded, because I've seen enough of this crap over the years, they stopped a riot. They did. They stopped a riot. There was already riotous behavior happening. They stopped it cold just by virtue of having those people standing where they did. They stopped a riot that started June 7th. So they already had permission to get California National Guardsmen. So Immergut says, you can't have Oregon National Guardsmen in Oregon. And so the Trump administration said, oh, yeah, okay, we're going to call out the National Guard from California and Texas, for whom we already have approval. And then then the Oregon people went back to her and said, oh, they can't do that. We don't want them in our state either. Oh, no. So the Ninth Circuit in this decision reminded the stupid judge, she's just not very bright. She must not be, okay? And they reminded her, hey, we've already decided this issue based on these facts that you've just told us all over again in this case. And you should have figured it out the first time in the California Newsom case, but you didn't. So yes, of course, Oregon National Guard officers can be used in Oregon. Duh. And then he goes on, writing for the majority, goes on to say, and BT dubs, since you are using the same fuzzy logic on this case as you did with the California and Texas Guard, yeah, you're probably going to lose that one too. And they probably will not take that case if it comes back on an appeal. So it stands now that maybe these guys, the Oregon AG and the governor and the mayor and the police chief, actually was a plaintiff in this case. The Baghdad Bob Day, a plaintiff in this case. This dude is the most political police chief I think I've ever seen, honestly. And that is saying something. That encompasses a lot of police chiefs along the West Coast, and some major cities on the East Coast. And this dude is it's amazing. Hey, there's a law out there, and it's not you. And so it's so funny to me to see these guys talking about no kings, no kings, no kings. And guess what? They think they are the kings. It's always projecting onto their opponents the thoughts, ideas, and purposes that they're already carrying out. You've heard that before. They're always blaming you for what they're doing. Well, that's exactly what happened in this case. It's exactly what happened in this case. So, anyway, kind of interesting. So the other thing was that he gave the judge a talking to as well, just like you substitute your values or your logic, your desires for the proven abilities of the president to do his job. That's not going to fly. I mean, who do you think you are? And which I found rather refreshing, especially from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal. Okay, so let's go to, I had to show you this because, Pallywood and all that stuff. I was telling you about that. Okay, so this is something that I saw over the weekend. It was on the X platform, and it was a Hollywood video is what it was. It was a Hollywood video. Listen, watch this. See if you can spot the problem with this. I'm sorry. Hollywood. Of course, this is a mob. You know, you do have to worry about mass hysteria because these people are clearly untethered anyway. And then, no, King. Oh, they got him. Is that dude bandaged up? What's happening here? So the guy gets up. He starts walking. Oh,
it's getting pretty bad, pretty quick, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you to the hospital, dude. We're gonna get you there. I'm laughing because I know what happened. Didn't you see it? We'll do it in slow-mo. Let's watch. Hooray for Hollywood. La 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 la. Watch this. This is slow-mo, a Mr. American flag waver. They've decided they're going to start doing that, the Antifa people. Yeah, okay. It's upside down. Well, that explains everything. So here we go. Watch this. He's intentionally getting in the way of the car. He's trying to get hit. That's the point. It's like remember those people who are in gangs, and what happens is they set up people for traffic accidents, and they either they stop right in front of you. I kind of wonder if one of my accidents was one of those. I say one of my accidents. I've had two. But anyway, so this guy clears the car, and it looks like he kind of does trip because he's kind of trying to back up there after intentionally hitting the car, because that's the point, right? You want him to stop. So here we go again. I want you to see this. So he's getting himself hit. Oh, this is backwards. Sorry. And here we go forward at some point today. Here he comes. And bingo, bango, bongo. Oh my goodness. And the Oscar goes to the fake car hit and run agent. Look at that. Fakery. By the way, you'll be very happy to know the man is just fine because nothing happened to him. Oh, man. I mean, just wild. Just wild. That happened on No King's Day. Here's this guy. This guy, by the way, I would like to show you this because this is really intense. There are a lot of real crazy, crazy people I say crazy because you have just taken leave of your senses. You are so out of your own common sensical frame of mind to the extent that it exists that you are willing to do and say just about anything.
We got to turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents got to get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
Oh, okay, that's real nice. Hear it again. I just want you to hear it again.
We got to turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents got to get shot.
These ICE agents got to get shot. Now, I just want to call your attention to the people in the background. No, nobody's surprised. I mean, do you see a glimmer of surprise on this guy? He looks like he's, I'm just doing what Dad here is telling me to do. But I kind of wonder if anybody else is registering any mention, any iteration of any kind of surprise. But I doubt it.
And wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Settle down, Sparky. So this guy, I think, got fired. Wait, we're not done yet. Then there are the teachers who were, imagine if you are a student at this woman's school and you're trying to set up a Turning Point USA chapter at your school. Or just imagine this person being the teacher who will come to your child's aid and in a moment in which understanding the greatest amount ever is needed. Here she is.
Hey, you ever heard of those septic, you fat ass?
Oh, that was bad. Hey, have you ever heard of Ozempic? Not, not nice, but neither's this.
Hey!
Yeah, she's been fired. Can you imagine? Can you imagine saying that to somebody or showing, hey, go get killed? Your buddy, the guy that you think very greatly about, I have a lot of respect for, who got mercilessly assassinated, and she's mocking it. I don't think that's one of the things that we want in our public school teachers. Do you? I mean, I don't have a lot of patience for really bad teachers. Well, okay, these are all the groups that supported and underwrote. And I know it's like, Victoria, do you have like any cheaters or anything? Sorry, I know it's like, because we got this. So through three or four main groups, the Arabella, Democrat, hoovering up of all millions and from billionaires around the world. Okay, so the Arabella Fund, and everybody who's anybody is one of those people at this consultancy, and they spend time just like giving money out, giving the money, and they give away a lot of money to these kind of direct action thing. Then there's the Soros web of organizations under the Open Society. And then we found out, holy moly guacamole. Now, I'm not even kidding you. We've got, let's see, the Rockefeller Foundation gave $26 million to this effort. Arabella, $79 million. Warren Buffett, through his organizations, $16 million. Ford Foundation, $51 million. Soros, $72 million. So Arabella, Soros, Ford, Tides Foundation is always in there, and Rockefeller and Ford Foundations. Now, you know how this goes. You know how this goes. You've been alive more than, 25 years into your adulthood. You know what happens here. What happens here is that great-great-grandpa makes all the money. And by the time it gets to your generation, you've just come up in such wealth and opulence and without ever having want in your life, that by the time you get there, you are now exercising your time doing nothing but engaging and indulging in luxury beliefs. And so it is with this. I mean, we're going to get the man. Well, guess what? The man who set America on the road to industrialized capitalism in a big way. I mean, just gave it a huge boost. That guy, your dad, your great-great-great-grandfather or whatever he is, Mr. Ford with Model A, yeah, or he would not even conceive of what you're doing here. You're just spitting on his grave. And indeed they are. So there are several people here. Let us look. The No King's partners are Jewish Voice for Peace. That's a fake Jewish group. That's a bunch of self-hating Jews, if there are Jews there. The American Atheist Society. That's interesting. The American Civil Liberties Union. They have just totally gone off the reservation. And by the reservation, I mean the constitutional reservation. They can do anything they want. They can do that. And so be it. You side with the left on every issue. I think I've seen them in maybe the last 20 years doing one thing for a conservative cause. But of course, they did it to redound favor on their own group. But nevertheless, they've maybe won. They're terrible. They are just in general terrible people these days. And let's see if the Southern Christian or the Southern Poverty Law Center's in there. No, Sierra Club's in here. Like, what happened to the Sierra Club? The Voto Latino Action Fund. We've got the Washington Conservation Action Education Fund. We've got the Win Without War Education Fund. Man, maybe I do need cheaters. People for the American Way, Norman Lear's organization. Oil Change International. The Newtown Action Alliance. Okay, so there we go. It's the usual suspects. We've got a lot of them. I mean, you could literally sit down and write your own list, and you would have gone, okay, I'm going to check it against the master list that they provided, and yet you'd be right. They'd always be there. I mean, and these are the different. Some of these groups are people and entities that get money from Arabella and get money from the Open Society and get money from the different foundations. So that's what happens. And then when we talked about it with Seamus Bruner the other day, Seamus Bruner was talking to us about how these people who give all these billions of dollars, millions and millions and millions of dollars, actually do it for direct action purposes. Direct action being what like Antifa's doing outside the ICE headquarters. Okay. And no bueno, baby. No bueno. What that means to you and to me is that they are, they're underwriting violence on the American streets. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they want to do. They think that capitalism is bad. They really ultimately comes down to Western civilization, which is based upon belief in God, belief in the God of the Bible, capitalism, free markets, so that people have free trade and the like. And they don't like them because they want communism. And they, generally speaking, the folks, the Ford Foundation, great-great-grandchildren, they don't care. They don't care they're giving money to commies. Why? Because they know they'll never have to suffer under the commies. I'm always going to be rich. So you take half my billions. It's okay. So it is. The DSA. In fact, I have some interesting pictures from the entities that were covered at the. I think this is from the Washington, D.C. one. Let's see. And as so often happens, the SEIU is a fascinating group. They're as probably as violent as the folks, the Longshoremen's Union people or the Teamsters people. They'll be willing to get down and dirty. Okay, so here we go. Let's open this photo, and this was at the No Kings protest, and these are folks who actively support the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. That's what Bernie calls himself. He's really a communist. He's a Marxist, as is AOC, as is Kami Mandami in New York City. They're all... Socialism is always done in the service of communism. That is always the outcome. That is the outcome-based result that they choose. They want that. But they also know, and we know this from every communistic society we've ever seen in the history of man, that it's always the comrades, the close comrades, that get the spoils, right? And if they'll leave them alone for a while. They will leave them alone, and for a minute, until they get everything done. And then just like the French Revolution, they'll come back and get those guys too, because they're not pure enough. You've got way too much. And it's always SEIU. So SEIU is, let's see, I'll make sure I get my picture up here. SEIU is the category killing union. Comes in, they subsume other unions, right? Like you're going to be part of our, like in the state of Oregon, I happen to know, state of California, I think the California one is like this too. They subsume all these unions, and all of a sudden it becomes the one union with whom you have to deal on all of these pay grades, all of these different jobs, and that sort of thing. Same thing in Oregon, probably the same thing in Washington. That's the business plan for these guys. Come in, eat up all the unions, then you have a powerhouse SEIU, and then you start the revolution with these people who just wanted to be an in-home health care person. But no, now they've got to be part of the apparatchik, getting out there on the streets and doing whatever. And if they can't do it, don't worry about it. We're going to use your dues to pay someone to go out. You've seen these different things that happen at the No Kings. Do I have in fact, let me just double check here. I got a video file. This is wild. there were so many things that happened on this No King's Day that that are disturbing. Watch this kid. Let me make sure I get this in here. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, here's another SEIU one to show you. Not 1 inch. This was put out by Andy No. This is from June. And what's interesting here is not that didn't have anything to do with No King's Day. It's No King's Day every day for these people. But they were working with Rose City Antifa, the group that they claim does not exist, and that whose leaders have done a bunk and gone over to Europe and Sweden, and they're hiding out from American judicial people who were probably going to come after them next, and they will, because they are nothing but thugs running a continuing criminal enterprise. That's exactly what's been going on with Antifa for years now. And so anyway, I was going to show you something that apparently I cannot show you. Let me see. No Kings in D.C. This is Mike Benz. He's a former State Department attorney, a lawyer. He dealt a lot with cyber issues, and that's why he runs a cyber freedom organization. He's fascinating. Give him a follow on X and follow him if you can afford to give him like $5 a month. Support him because this guy's amazing. So here he is, she said, hopefully. And you'll see who he saw at the No Kings thing. Am I saying this? Where? Yeah, here he is. Here you go.
It's like the ending scene from The Sopranos out here.
Watch this.
I just think this was so funny.
Now, he worked in the Trump administration, Trump 45, and I know he consults on Trump 47. And he's done more to call out the antics and the overspending, the absolute largesse ladled on organizations throughout the world through USAID than Elon Musk has done. I mean, look at him. So this guy's got a USAID, almost, but just gutted that department at the State Department because it's, you have big grants, billions of dollars being expropriated from the taxpayers here to bring gender story hour in Gaza, or, programs that silly. They're not feeding children. No, they're just not doing library story hour in Azerbaijan anymore, where we think they might be able to live without that program. Okay. So Benz he's out there, and this is when, and this is kind of funny. This is when the masses of people got together, and this is very coordinated, obviously. You got them for maybe, this had to have been the fastest protest ever. They got them for a period of time, maybe 45 minutes, and then they all dispersed. Because, if you're not going to get paid, you're only getting paid for an hour if you're one of those people, the paid protesters, and there were. And so, as we all know, this, right? Paid protesters. We've had that guy on the podcast before, haven't we? Crowds on demand. He's got more business now than he knows what to do with. So here's one more time, Ben's out there.
I just think this was so funny.
So
USA leading it, baby.
And it kind of makes sense because it's all the same people, all the foundations, all the NGOs, and that remain in existence that are being supported by other people, not us. And here they are out there wearing the shirt from an agency of the U.S. government that has been all but gutted. In fact, Marco Rubio's in charge of that now. Marco Rubio, you are aware of this. He's in charge of USAID. He's in charge of the State Department, and he's the National Security Advisor. Okay. He's triple threat. I've seen a picture of him recently, and he's just looking. He's got good number twos, I'm sure. Of course he does. Here's one from the No Kings. This is in LA, I believe it is. Watch this. Let's just comment on this creepy music that they decided to put in. And like, and now he's going to kill this. What is that? I mean, effigy of Donald Trump. Okay. Yes. Yes. They're having fun with this. Okay. Not nice. Really a bad look to have your children doing it. I mean, you have lost your marbles if you're allowing your kids to do this. Let's continue. He's got a kid in the gas mask. I mean, will you just look at this? His child is in a gas mask. Dad's standing there. Kid's in the gas mask. And he also looks like he has another mask on. Yeah. Da, da, da. Whoa. Halloween. These people are creepy, though. Hate has no home here. Yeah, these people are crazy. Get off my land. Okay, dude. Settle down, Sparky. Okay. Creepy. Yeah. So there are people who are willing to go out and show their freak flag and just expose them as being a person overwhelmed, indeed chronically afflicted with Trump derangement syndrome, and they don't care that anyone can see it because they're surrounded by people with Trump derangement syndrome. And obviously you've heard this point. I'll say it again just to put a bow on it. If there were any kings around here, they wouldn't let you do that. Even though there are time, place, and manner things. And indeed, in fact, that's one of the things I've spoken a lot about with respect to the ICE situation in Portland. They could stop right now, legally stop the protests in the ICE area of Portland. They could, because it's concerning time, place, and manner. And if there's any incitement, which there obviously is, and also encouraging people to break the law and just break the law. Plus, I mean, coercion happens all the time out in front of that. Like I told you that, of course, when I went out there and I was all black blocked up, and what was interesting was that they sent their little Hellcat man out, and he put his umbrella in front of my camera and all this other stuff. And it was just so annoying. It's like, you have no right to do this. And he's got the guy standing next to him says with a press sign on, hey, he can do that. If she can take those pictures, he can refuse and not allow her to take the pictures. No, it's not the way it works. It just is not the way it works. So, they could shut that stuff down if they wanted to, and certainly after 10 o'clock, they could. So now let's join everything together. Now what we have is Donald Trump goes to court. Sorry, that's my chair making a noise. I don't usually sit when I do this, but I enjoyed it so much during our live stream the other day. I just thought, I'll just leave the chair in here and see if I usually stand, whatever. But I'm going to bring them all together. And it has this to do. If you thought there were any kings, you wouldn't have been able to protest. If you thought there were any kings, Donald Trump would have sent the National Guard without going to court. He just would have done it, right? If you thought there weren't any kings, you would just be able to be right. You'd be right. He'd be a king, but he's not. And you're crazy. So there's that. Now, there is another story, and I'm going to try to get this individual on. She's a live streamer too, and she is a lot of fun. And she went to the Seattle Anarchist Book Fair. last weekend. And the Seattle, I just want to make sure I get some of the things that I want in here on my list. How's that? And it was over the weekend. I saw her information, and I thought the most startling thing, and then I forgot her name, so I couldn't go back and find her doing this. So I will endeavor to find her. But the Seattle Anarchist book fair was pretty doggone funny, because they didn't let you go without a mask. And it wasn't for the reasons stated. They said, we just got out of the pandemic. They just said this for this year's Anarchist book fair. We just got out of the pandemic, so we're still requiring face masks. Okay. The other thing is, we don't want you to have any food. We're just going to give you what we have, and we're going to make something, and you have to eat it. And no, you can't bring your dog. And no, you cannot bring your bike inside. I mean, it was just like rule. Wait a minute, hold it. I thought you guys were a bunch of anarchists. We're leaving. No, it was so funny. It was so incredibly funny. Let's see. Let's find that, Victoria. And here's the book fair. Seattle Anarchist Book Fair, October 18th, 19th. And the person who called my attention to this, I hope to get her on. She's wonderful, actually. She went to this book fair, and she found probably the very first thing was an incredible array of pictures. Yeah, pictures, a hit list of the reporters. Yeah, here we go. Here, I have, crap. I wanted to make sure I got this. Doggone it. I do have it, but for some reason I don't have the right words. Be that as it may. Okay, let's do this. La, 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 la. It's something similar to this. And it's a wall full of, here, they see there's Chelly right there, Honey Badger Mom. This is outside the Portland Ice. And they put up this, I know where this pole is. It's right outside ice. And they have pictures of all the people who come and live stream down there and report on them. I don't think I'm on here. I was not in the one at the book fair either. So I was like, oh, great. This is great, actually. But anyway, so they've got hit lists out. Don't talk to these people. Don't do anything with these people. You must not have anything to do with these people. Now, the meetings at the book fair, this is a screenshot, crappy idea. I mean, I couldn't edit it today. I just didn't have time. So I apologize. 1 to 2 o'clock, there's a no commerce lunch. That means that they're going to cook for you, and you have to take it or leave it. It was some of the talk about, let's see, go eat some grilled up food outside, thanks to our homies at the Cali Grill or something like that. Anyway, it was just one bizarro thing after another at the Anarchist book fair. But what was funny was that the people who were the more conservative folks who got in, and they put themselves in front of the picture of all of the people, of which she was one, on the walls. And then they took pictures of themselves in front of it. And which I thought was hilarious. And they're wearing their masks because, of course, the only way you can come into the Anarchist book fair is if you've got a mask on. And I've never seen, these people will lose the war, man. I mean, they are so scared. They're scared of anything. I mean, the way they spoke about COVID was shocking, actually. Oh, you got to do that. You got to wear masks, and no, you can't bring your damn dog, and doggone it. Anyway, here's a question that they have. They're frequently asked questions. Okay. I think someone at the book fair might have beef with me. Will you keep me safe from them or decide who was right following said dispute? Answer, no. Anarchy is not a perfect utopian world of peace and harmony. It is a living tension with both mutual aid and conflict. That said, if you punch someone on the premises, you will need to leave. I'm a bit concerned about being filmed or recorded at the Anarchist event. If I show up, will I be on a watch list? The book fair asks that as a condition of entry, people refrain from taking pictures. Whoops. Without express consent of all those captured and such. If you are having concerns about photography that you see happening, we encourage you to either talk to a person doing the filming. Hey, wait a minute, isn't that having beef with somebody? Or make sure they're aware of this policy. Is this a kid-friendly event? Oh, yes, we're endeavoring to provide limited childcare. Can you imagine leaving your kid with one of these people? They don't want your dog. They don't want your bike. They don't want you to be without a mask. But, oh, please, bring your children. Bring the children. Let's see here. My new bike is really expensive. I'd prefer to bring it and wheel it around with me while I peruse the Anarchy Mall. Is that okay, right? Nope. Lock it up outside. Oh my gosh. Oh, wait. I got to get this picture up again because it's just such a good. It's the Anarchist fair. It's the book fair. Ah, bring your children. Another basic anarchist principle is voluntary association. This is simply a matter of applying democratic principles, small d, democratic principles. They think our country's democracy. No. I know you know this. The only difference is that anarchists believe it should be possible to have a society in which everything could be organized along the lines of the democratic principles and applying those to ordinary life. The only difference is that it should be possible to have a society in which everything is organized along these lines in all groups based on free consent of their members. No rules, apparently. Oh, wait. I don't consent to go in a mask. I'm sorry, you can't be here. Oh, man. Oh. Let's see. Therefore, that all top-down military styles of organization like armies or bureaucrats or large corporations based on chains of command would no longer be necessary. Except unsaid there, people choose to associate with these kinds of organizations and thereby exercise their freedom of association, should they wish to do that, and agree to said rules, right? Right? Just like the Anarchist Convention. Don't bring your bike. Put it outside. Don't you dare bring your dog. No, we don't have any of their food available. Don't you know we got a deal with the guys down the street who are going to cook it outside on a one-burner little stove? Don't you know that? You better be okay with that. Oh, man. Okay, I got to make sure I hit everything on my list. I got that. A million other things. But, one last thing as I take this picture down. John Brennan, former head of the CIA. Why? Why is he being referred for indictment, referred for prosecution by the Congress? Because he lied to him, and he spied on him. And he's also been lying to everybody. He's also the guy who's been involved in the Russia thing. He's the guy. Remember, I was telling you about this the other day when I talked about Jim Comey. And I said, yeah, I know you think it looks like it's getting back at his enemies and all that stuff. But don't you think that somebody who tried to coup a president should at least be looked at by prosecutors? I mean, isn't that the way it's done here? Don't you think you'd rather have somebody working by the rules or as close to them as we can get instead of cheating and believing John Brennan? John Brennan's the guy who was the CIA director and had a meeting with Barack Obama, Joe Biden, James Comey. Let's see, who else was there? Sally What's-Her-Kisser, the acting attorney general. Then there were a couple others in there. I'm sure they're probably all going to be indicted. And Susan Rice. And do you know why they're possibly going to be indicted? Barack Obama was there because they all knew about the Hillary Clinton Russia, Russia, Russia op, which was a political dirty trick, they knew it was fake. They knew it was based on fakery. They, in fact, not only did they go along with it, they actually put the full force of the United States government and international spy agencies behind it. John Brennan lied about his involvement. The referral alleges that Brennan knowingly made false statements to Congress in May 2023, especially concerning the CIA's involvement with the Steele dossier, a series of memos alleging connections between Donald Trump and Russia, which were fake. Hillary, the only one working with Russian spies was not the guy they were calling the Russian secret agent, President Trump. Whoa. No, it was Hillary Clinton getting this crap from some, what's his last, Devchenko. Anyway, he worked alongside the Ukraine specialist who came out of the woodwork for the impeachment for Donald Trump during Trump 4-5. And he worked with her. She brought him into the Brookings Institution, and he was one of the sub people who witnesses. It's not the right word, but you get it. And so he's involved in this. He was involved in this. So she's the only one working with Russian spies, not Donald Trump, actually. So anyway, he's going downtown. So the letter was sent to Attorney General Pam Bondi. And it asserts that Brennan, I read here, misled lawmakers by denying the CIA's role despite declassified evidence to the contrary. Yeah, we know. We knew from the gate that he had something to do with this. In fact, because he wrote a freaking letter about it. Yes, he wrote the letter. He did. And it was in his handwriting. Hey, man, we got... Yeah, this is what we discussed at this meeting. Hillary Clinton had this going on. Man, oh man. It's unbelievable. Well, anyway, gosh, for our guests, we were going to talk a little bit about these legalities by the folks that were formerly in the Biden administration. And instead, we've run through it a whole hour. Anyway, she couldn't come on, so that's fine. So we had fun going over some of this stuff that I think is important, actually. And I wanted you to know about it. And so we had some fun at their expense, actually. And we continue. We go on. And I'll see you on Thursday on the live stream as well as podcast of the Adult in the Room podcast. And I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Adult in the Room podcast. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate every single person who tunes in every week to listen and watch this program. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, live streaming on Rumble, and then on every other podcast platform shortly thereafter when we can port it over and get it over there as soon as we can. All the shows can be found at victoriataft.com, where the censorship regime has been banned by me. Follow me on social media at these names: Victoria Taft, the Adult in the Room podcast, and the Victoria Taft Show. Send media inquiries, or any others for that matter, to victoria@victoriataft.com. And here's a big ask. Would you please subscribe, share, like, comment, recommend, and give this program a 5-star rating where you can? We really appreciate it. We do not take that for granted either. Follow my work at, you guessed it, victoriataft.com. PJ Media, I write tons over there. Flamingo Audiobooks, and of course the radio. I don't do this alone. This show is produced and engineered by Overall Media. 1A Cast is responsible for some of the Adult in the Room podcast's imaging. Logo design by Hageman Creative. The Adult in the Room podcast is produced at Flamingo Road Studios. All rights reserved.